Welcome back, traders, to another Professor Hotkey discussion. If you are new to the channel, we are breaking down the training methodologies powered by hotkeytrainer.com, the web's ultimate platform built exclusively to help day traders eliminate execution errors and slash reaction times. Up to this point, we've covered the necessity of hotkey proficiency and designed a personal physical layout. In our last session, we pulled back the curtain on the hidden physical enemies holding your execution back: muscle co-activation, tendon bridging, and the intense strain of finger independence. Now that this scientific foundation is laid, it is time to move directly from theory to action. Today, we are tying it all together. We will show you how to build a personalized, high-performance routine by systematically combining your hotkeytrainer.com tools into a single, cohesive morning warm-up and strength training block. This is exactly how you transform a basic keyboard layout into flawless, automatic trade execution under heavy market pressure. To understand why we combine these two training styles, think like an elite athlete. A professional tennis player does not just practice swinging a racket on the court. If they did, their raw power and physical endurance would quickly plateau. Instead, they hit the gym to build isolated forearm strength, core stability, and explosive footwork. Your standard training hotkey drills are your on-court practice. They build specific muscle memory for your exact buy and sell configurations. Meanwhile, your keyboard deck's anchor drills are your heavy gym workouts. They build the raw mechanical capacity, deep finger isolation, and open neurological pathways that make those real-world hotkey swings effortless. If you only practice your standard hotkey layouts, your execution speed will always be bottlenecked by your hand's natural biological limitations. By combining both into a single cohesive program, we shatter those limitations completely before the opening bell rings. Traders often assume their index and middle fingers are perfectly independent because they use them the most. However, under high-speed, high-precision isolation, a severe physical bottleneck appears. This friction is driven by three anatomical forces. First is the shared tendon bridging. The extensor digitorum muscle, which lifts your fingers, splits into individual tendons. However, the tendons for your index and middle fingers are tightly linked by a band of connective tissue called the intertendinous join. This leads directly to the second force, the anchor lockout. When you firmly press down and lock your middle finger onto a key like A, you pull its tendon completely taut. Because of that intertendinous bridging, that tautness acts like an anchor chain on the neighboring index finger's tendon, physically restricting its range of motion and fluid lifting capacity. Finally, you experience the flexor overload. To force your index finger to strike keys lower down, like X and C, or higher up, like E and R, while the middle finger remains rigid, your hand must overactivate its deep forearm flexors. This causes immediate, intense tightness in your forearm and palm, the exact physical sensation of forcing an anatomical separation that your hand is naturally wired to resist. Mentally, isolating these two fingers causes an immediate cognitive stutter because you are forcing them to break up their most hardwired neural partnership. This cognitive friction manifests in three specific ways. First, you face the pinch reflex challenge. Your index and middle fingers are hardwired to work in tandem with the thumb to perform precision tasks, like holding a pen or gripping a tool. Because of this, your brain's motor cortex possesses massive, deeply entrenched neural pathways dedicated to moving these two fingers together, resisting any attempt to separate them. Second is the cognitive directivity split. When you command your brain to freeze the middle finger on A while driving the index finger to C, your nervous system experiences intense signal bleed. The motor cortex struggles to fire a high-frequency go signal to the index finger while simultaneously maintaining a strict stop and hold signal to the adjacent middle finger. Finally, this causes the spatial matrix shift. Your index finger keys S, D, X, and C form a physical matrix around the locked middle finger. Because your index finger's mechanical freedom is heavily compromised by that locked anchor, your brain can no longer rely on its casual, automated muscle memory. Instead, it must consciously calculate the completely altered physical angle of every single strike. This structural shift is precisely why training feels like you are learning to use your hand for the very first time. Implement 2 precise strategies to maximize your returns. First, utilize the pre-flex neurological prep. Before launching into a drill, hold your anchor keys, such as left shift and A, using your ring and middle fingers for 5 seconds without striking anything. Consciously visualize dissolving the tension in your palm. This simple physical pause quietens the signal bleed in your motor cortex before you introduce dynamic movement, preparing your brain for the isolation task ahead. Second, master the micro-lift concept. When your middle finger is anchored firmly on A, your neighboring index finger will naturally want to drag or feel heavy. Do not fight this mechanical resistance by hammering the keys harder, which only locks up your forearm flexors. Instead, focus on a crisp, intentional micro-lift of the index finger immediately before each strike. Finally, remember that your dexterity drills do not need to replicate your live trading hotkeys to be profoundly effective. Treat these extreme setups as advanced gymnastics. While the Keyboard Dex Trainer places absolutely no limits on how you can configure your custom drills, let's map out 4 highly effective blueprints to target specific finger challenges. First, the index finger isolation. Configure the Z key as a continuous anchor for your ring finger and the S key as an anchor for your middle finger. This completely locks down the left side of your hand, forcing your index finger to independently execute rapid strikes across the R, D, F, C, and V keys against the tension of the anchors. Second, the middle finger isolation. Pin your ring finger down on the A key and lock your index finger onto the F key. Drive your middle finger to execute precision strikes across W, E, S, D, and X. Third, the ring finger isolation. Establish the A and G keys as dual anchors for your pinky and index fingers. This traps your ring finger, forcing it to independently navigate the W, E, S, D, and X matrix. You can also shift inward by locking your middle finger onto F. Fourth, the hotkey modifier anchor. If your live trading strategy relies on your ring finger pressing a modifier key while your middle and index fingers fire hotkeys, assign the shift key as a permanent anchor for your ring finger. Next, lock your index finger down on any comfortable static key, forcing your middle finger to isolate and execute its real-world hotkey targets. Conversely, swap the dynamic role. Lock your middle finger in place and force your index finger to execute its independent hotkey sequences. The ultimate objective of this blueprint is to take you from the experimental layout phase and the biomechanical theory phase, fusing them into a highly structured, daily training regimen. This dual-layer approach utilizes the comprehensive suite of applications built into hotkeytrainer.com. We pair physical capacity building using our specialized dexterity modules with platform-specific skill application using our targeted hotkey trainers. Let's break down your daily protocol into 3 distinct intervals that target your neural pathways. First, kick off with some gym work inside the Keyboard Dex Trainer, utilizing extreme anchors and non-standard shapes to force pure, isolated finger gymnastics. Next, transition immediately into precision work using the core Hotkey Trainer software, focusing entirely on accuracy and smooth, unhurried movements. Finally, wrap up your session with hotkey speed work using our light speed drills to stress test your newly primed muscle memory under intense time constraints. Biomechanical drills intentionally shock your nervous system, making your standard training hotkey sequences feel drastically lighter. Every training session doesn't need to be a grueling marathon. In fact, short, high-intensity intervals are drastically more effective for rapid neurological adaptation. Here is the daily training protocol you should run on hotkeytrainer.com right before beginning to trade. It acts as your pre-market meet day warm-up. Its purpose isn't to build new muscle, but to wake up your nervous system, dissolve physical hand tension, and anchor a calm, deliberate mental focus before active trading begins. Phase 1 is the biomechanical overload. Spend minutes 0 to 5 inside the keyboard Dex Trainer module. Set up a rigid anchor key using your weakest digits, such as pinning your ring finger on left shift, and force your remaining fingers to strike the surrounding keys. Phase 2 is layout familiarization. From minutes 5 to 15, pull up the standard Hotkey trainer module and load your actual experimental training layout. Run your Hotkey drills at a steady, controlled pace. Now that your neural pathways are open and firing from your dexterity gym session, focus entirely on spatial awareness, knowing exactly where your buy and sell keys sit. Phase 3 is stress testing and speed. Spend minutes 15 to 20 in our light speed drills section. Increase the target speed and execute layouts with zero hesitation. In addition to your daily pre-market warm-up routine, you must build out an off-market strength block. Executed entirely away from active market hours, such as during evenings or weekends, this is where you transition from simple preparation to deep neurological remodeling. Here, you leverage the full depth of the hotkeytrainer.com suite. You are no longer just looking for a loose, calm hand posture. Instead, you scale the exact same blueprint into a dedicated, high-intensity workout designed to systematically build permanent, institutional-grade raw finger capacity over months and years of practice. Since our platform features multiple independent trainers with near-infinite drill configurations, your off-market sessions should focus heavily on progressive overload. Force your hands into deep, non-standard layouts. Intentionally escalate your target speeds, stress test your processing limits under tighter time constraints, and log heavy, repetitive training volume. Treat this phase exactly like an intense off-season lifting program in the gym. You are deliberately hunting for mechanical failure in a controlled environment. By systematically tracking your analytics and breaking down your physical boundaries here, you ensure your hands never become the limiting factor when real capital is on the line. As you execute your off-market strength blocks, you must use your drill performance analytics as a diagnostic roadmap. Keep two critical optimization principles in mind. First, iterate your layout based on physical friction. If your reaction times spike dramatically or your index finger fumbles a specific key pairing, do not just keep grinding away blindly. Step back. Use a dedicated dexterity drill to isolate that exact weakness, or adjust your layout to fit your hand's natural resting posture. Your layout must adapt to your unique biology, never fight against it. Second, know when to add weight to the bar. How do you know when a neural pathway has successfully remodeled and you have earned the right to increase the difficulty? Look for two green lights in your data. Your accuracy on an extreme anchor layout must hold steady above 99% across 3 consecutive days, and your latency charts must completely flatten out, indicating zero mental stuttering. Once these data thresholds are met, do not stay comfortable. Shift your anchor keys to a weaker finger pairing or compress your target speed settings to force a faster tempo. Continually hunting down this friction is what builds institutional-grade execution speed. Fusing a highly optimized hotkey layout with rigorous biomechanical dexterity training is the ultimate secret to institutional-grade market execution. Whether you are running this routine as a 20-minute pre-market warm-up and primer to center your focus before trading begins, or logging high-intensity volume as an off-market strength block on the weekends, consistency is your only metric. By using the comprehensive applications at hotkeytrainer.com, you ensure your hands never become the limiting factor when real capital is on the line. Log into your dashboard right now, configure your anchor drills, and turn execution into your permanent competitive advantage. I will see you in our next session.